Hey everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Engineer Your Career, where I am joined by Amechi Udo, who I will do a very brief intro to very shortly. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back. For those of you who are new and not been to an Engineer Your Career series episode before, welcome. It's lovely to have you join us. So my name is Jess. I'm the sales lead at Showcode. So look after everything, sort of sales, account management, but obviously do many other things and being a startup business. If you've not heard of Showcode before, we are a community platform predominantly for coders, but we have many other people within the tech space as part of our community. You can create your profile at showcode.io, where you can also join various communities that are relevant to yourself, whether it be Athena for women in tech, Varsity Code for those who are students, and we've also recently launched a new community called Pro Code for us more experienced coders. So do feel free to join all of those. I will be sharing all of this information in the chat very shortly. And just a few sort of things just to go over. If you have any questions or stuff as we're going through the session, please feel free to post them in the chat, and we will be monitoring it and obviously getting back to you. Although it is a live sort of interactive session, so you may just have to wait a few moments before we can actually cover your question. And then other than that, I think that's sort of like the main things for now. I'll cover a few bits at the end, for those who are still here after sort of, towards the end of the session, aiming to be about an hour or so, just to give everyone the heads up. If I could just ask as well, for those who are attending, just to help with the session, if you could just say a quick hello in the chat, where you're based, what sort of job you're looking for, and what you're looking to take away from the session, just so much you can keep it really tailored towards yourselves that have obviously made the effort to come and join us. So that's me talking. So I'm just going to introduce you to Amechi. So it is my pleasure today to welcome Amechi Udo, who is the founder of career coaching company Your Career Matters. Amechi is passionate about helping people find and build rewarding careers. So for more than 20 years, Amechi has been sourcing, recruiting, and developing people in the UK and internationally. In a career including HR, recruitment, and CV writing, Amechi has written, read, and reviewed literally hundreds of CVs. Today, he's going to share key insights that will help you crack the code of writing your CV so you can get interviews for the jobs you want. So over to you, Amechi. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much for that introduction, Jess. Much appreciated. A warm welcome to everybody here on this session today. I'll be sharing with you information initially via PowerPoint, some key slides. So do have your pens and pads handy. Also, I'll be going through some of the CVs that people have shared for some live feedback. And then finally, at the end, I'll be going through any questions or queries that I have during the session. It's great to see that some of you are already very active in the chat, putting in some information, introducing yourselves. Please continue to network and create community here and obviously beyond this session. It's also going to be a great opportunity to help you in the future in terms of talking to people who you know who may be able to help create opportunities, and you may be able to do the same for them. Okay, let me get the information up on the screen for everybody and we'll work through some of that. Okay, so just experienced a minor issue there with my screen, so please bear with me a moment. What was working earlier?
It's always the case with technology.
There we go. It's up and on it now, so that's good. Okay, so everybody should be able to see. Yes, you are in the right place. How to crack the CV writing code. So here it is. I'm guessing that some of you may be from the UK, some of you maybe not. So hence a multilingual welcome to you all. A little bit more about me in terms of my background. You know already that I'm the founder of Your Career Matters. My background, as we've said, covers both HR, recruitment, and exec search. I've personally written over 300 CVs for individuals, and I've literally helped hundreds of people who've been seeking jobs find rewarding and fulfilling work. For some of you, in case you're scrabbling around wondering how do I keep in contact, I know that Jess has very kindly shared both hers and my LinkedIn profiles. So by all means, you can utilize this information. Also, if you want to reach out to me directly via email, that's there on the screen. And please do go across to the Your Career Matters website and join our mailing list to be regularly updated about what we do. So thanks very much. This information will be coming up again later on as well, just in case you miss it. I'm guessing that today you're here for one of the following reasons. Your CV is just not generating enough interviews. Potentially over the last 2 months, your CV's been getting rejected for roles you know you can do. The reason I've particularly picked out 2 months is that's normally when people start to doubt themselves, have some questions or queries, and start to seek out help from people like myself. Or crucially, your CV's okay. My teenage daughter might say it's a bit meh. It's all right, but it could do better, so that you can get the desired job you want. During today, we're going to cover the 7 CV mistakes killing your job search. Key actions you can tackle to avoid these, and an opportunity to have your CV reviewed live and to deal with your questions. I hope that's okay with everybody. If it is, then just type a Y in the chat, just to confirm, just as we head on. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Now, you've got a real question in terms of your CV. As Muhammad Ali here is demonstrating, you're looking to have your CV floor the reader, just be so impressive that they don't want to necessarily even look at anybody else's. Yours is the outstanding one. But at the same time, you're getting recruiters being deluged with CVs. I'm sure some of you have been on LinkedIn, you've looked at jobs, you've gone, oh, I'll apply for that. Oh no, 500 people have already applied. So, you know that the recruiters, talent managers, they're getting deluged with lots and lots and lots of details. So you want to stand out for the right reasons. Equally, you recognize that this is all when you're faced with time pressures. They do say sometimes looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. So you can feel the pressure of wanting to get that done. I've got a question for you. If you just want to type in the chat, what's the purpose of your CV? What's its number one job? If you just take a couple of seconds, type in the chat. Okay. I'm going to take you out of your suspense, bring it into it. Purpose of your CV is specifically to generate enough trust and confidence in the person who's reading your CV to have them shortlist and interview you. I will say that again. The purpose of your CV is to generate enough trust and confidence in the person reading your CV to have them shortlist and interview you. It's not to get you the job. It's not to wow them and super impress them with your ability to put charts and pictures and fancy fonts and lots of colors. No. Primary purpose is to get you that interview. Bear that in mind as you sit and write your CV. It will help you shift your mindset from writing this for your own personal satisfaction, and instead bear in mind you're writing this for an audience and your purpose is to convince them sufficiently to get them to want to interview you. Now, we talked about some CV writing mistakes that you might experience. I'm going to take you through 7 key ones that I've come across over the years and what you can do about them. I touched upon this one a moment ago. You write your CV with a focus on yourself. It's all about you. Actually, it's about writing relevant information for your audience. That is to say, the company hiring to fill the position. Secondly, it's not positioned from the start as you being right for the role. Make your suitability stand out from the start. One very simple thing. You've written your personal details, you've written your name, you've written your phone number, email, LinkedIn URL. Underneath that, put the job title for the position that you're interested in. In your profile that comes underneath, start the sentence with the job title that they are using. What you are doing in those first two actions is telling the reader, yep, you're good. You've picked up the right CV. I'm applying for the job that you want. If you don't believe me, just pick up your own CV after this webinar and take a look and say, is my CV giving the right message, the right impression? Is it telling the person you're hiring for one of these? I am one of these. I have the experience. I have the background. I'm at least telling you from the outset you're reading the right CV. Remember what I said earlier on as well with recruiters, talent managers, line managers getting a deluge with CVs. They're handling lots of different roles. They may make human error and pick up the wrong CV. If you've put, this is the job I'm applying for on the front, they will see it. They'll understand. Another element that you might be missing is there are no core competencies. Competencies are the specific behaviors or and sometimes skills that are needed for a particular role or position. In fact, more often than not now, you'll see a blend of both behaviors and skills in a job description when they talk about core competencies. Why are these important? Because from my experience as an HR professional and recruiter, there's somebody sitting there, not necessarily who knows this job particularly well, but they're sitting there with a job description and they are literally ticking or crossing if they don't see these competencies mentioned. So make it easy. List the competencies that they've listed in the order they've listed them. Put them in your CV. If you're not sure how to find them, look at 4 or 5 different jobs that you want to do. Use a tool like word cloud to see the most commonly used words or phrases in terms of those competencies, those skills required for the job, and collect them and put them into your CV. Mistake number 4, confusing duties and responsibilities with achievements. Please don't copy and paste your last job description straight into your CV and leave it there. Instead, write down the outcomes from carrying out these duties and responsibilities. Did you help the business make money? Did you help the business save money? Did you help the business reduce the time to do things? Did you create extra time to get things done? Did you reduce the risk of something breaking or failing? If you're addressing each or any of these elements, then your CV will start to stand out from all the other ones. Mistake number 5, fixating on CV length. Oh, should it be 1 page? Oh, my friend said it should be only 2 pages. No. Instead, create a master CV with relevant content that you can use in the future. Remember, at this stage, you may not know what the particular company wants. So creating a master CV of all the key things that you have should be your focus. When you see an opportunity you want, you can take some of the data from that master CV and present the relevant information for the organization that's hiring. Mistake number 6, focusing on beating the applicant tracking system, also known as an ATS. An ATS only sifts and sorts data. That's it. It doesn't select people. It's a human who reads and selects from the data presented. Give an ATS what it needs in the form it likes, so a human can read and select your CV. Okay? That means not fancy tables, graphs, and everything else. Just give it a nice, simple set of text in reverse chronological order. Machine will read it, scan it, and sort it. A human will come along and read it and select. CV mistake number 7, sending your CV in hope and waiting and waiting and waiting. You've got to be proactive. Follow up with polite persistence. See what's happened. Don't assume that you haven't been successful. I've got a couple of bonus ones as well for you. CV mistake number 8, relying on job boards. Job boards are okay, but they're only one source of you being able to find opportunities. Additionally, you can use your networking skills, research, and profile building and reaching out to help you find opportunities. Part of why I suggested earlier on that everybody actually just says who they are and where they are and what sort of job they're looking for is because you can start to network, you can create, you can refer, you can recommend. You're creating your own mini networking system. So do that. Mistake number 9, waiting until you desperately need a CV to get it updated. Nothing worse than trying to get a CV done right up against the deadline. Or you meet someone and say, oh, send me your CV. And you go, oh my goodness, I haven't done one for ages, or I haven't done one at all. Instead, make updating this a diarized 90-day action. In fact, right now, I encourage you to get your, if you use your phones, get your phone out and actually put in your diary when you're going to look at your CV in the next 5 days. Whether you're going to do it today, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and put what time you're going to do it. And then set an alert to remind you. And then put how much time you're going to spend looking at it initially. Whether you're going to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. I wouldn't go more than an hour. But the point is, you need to do something to get used to this, to build it in as a habit. If you don't, you're going to be like these folks who are suddenly desperately rushing around. The reason why I say do it every 90 days is because that gives you time to do and achieve new things in your role or in your studies. 3 months, you've usually accomplished something new, different. You've built on some skills in that 3-month period. CV mistake number 10, trying to do it all on your own. Get help from those that know you professionally or academically, and or get help from professionals in this area. It is your CV. It is you who is the best person, best positioned to create and develop it. However, it doesn't mean that you can't ask for help and support. Okay. Now, talk about CV with impact approach. I'm going to show you in a moment a structure and an outline that will help you in positioning your CV, and you can utilize it as we walk through these CVs that are going to be that we're going to be reviewing live here. So I'm just going to need to switch screens for a moment, switch the presentations, and then I will show you all exactly what I am sharing. Okay. Just whilst I'm switching over, just want to double check, how are we doing for the pace of this? Am I going too fast, too slow? If you just want to type in the chat the speed, if the speed is okay, then I will get that all sorted for you. Okay. So just type just right, too fast, too slow. Let me know.
It seems to be a bit of a delay, just to give you the heads up, on us talking and I think everyone else listening. So
Okay. That's no problem. That's fine. Just want to make sure that I've got everybody's info coming through. Okay. All right. Now, I hope everybody can see. I've got the sample layout and format for you all. Jess, could you just confirm that you can see?
Yeah, all good, and everyone's happy with the speed as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. So you'll see on the CV, I've made it very simple as a format. Understandably, your first name and your surname. That's it. That's all you need. I say that especially if your companies are using an applicant tracking system. This is normally the default field that they have at the beginning, your first name and your surname. So if you put anything else in, like curriculum vitae, that's what it'll assume is your first name, and it will go into those fields. Then I put your contact details. You need people to be able to reach you. Underneath that, I put the target job title, i.e. the job title of the position you are going for. And you're using their words, not yours. You can, if you wish, also put the industry sector underneath. However, I'd say that's optional. You'll see the profile, I've talked about the job title, which matches the job title up here, to use that in the beginning of your sentence. So a software developer with in-depth experience of Python, Agile and Waterfall. So you're already telling them, yep, you're looking for one of these with the competencies that you've listed, dear organization, as being most important to you. And then we've said, I've gained my experience within this company or within this industry sector. So in short, in that first line, you are telling them, 1, I've done what you want. 2, I've got the competencies you want, the most important ones. And 3, I've got an experience or an understanding of the industry sector that you're in. Now, I appreciate sometimes that won't always be the case. It's particularly if you're making a career transition, you're moving into a new area. You may not have done the job before. So this where it says here, the job title, you may need to say something like an IT professional with in-depth experience of A, B, and C. So you're not saying that you've done the same job as the one desired, but you can say, I'm an IT professional and I've learned these things. And this is where I've learned them. The next section in here is we talk about how you've used different competencies that have been listed by the company to produce a particular outcome. So, for example, they might say, I've utilized team working client liaison and project management skills to deliver a major program of major system upgrade for company X. What you are doing again is underlining, yes, I have these particular competencies. I'm demonstrating to you that I've used them, and here's the result I produced. You're doing it this way rather than saying, I'm a hard-working, industrious individual. Because you want them to actually stop and read this section, because it's going to summarize what a great candidate you are for the role. And it's going to be evidence-based rather than based on a subjective personal assessment. Beneath that, we go on to the core competencies, which, as I mentioned to you earlier on, will be the ones listed in the job description and person spec. And you put them on into your CV in a tailored approach in the order that they put them in. Not lots of sentences, just the key words to describe the competency itself. You then move on to the key skills and achievements. These are the competencies for the job where you excel, where you're particularly good. So again, if we said software development was a competency they wanted, you would say software development would be the competency in bold. Then after the dash, you'd say the company wanted to launch a new app. That's it. That was the objective. The obstacle was the time frame for this was only 3 months. That's the obstacle. Then we go on to the action. What did you do? Key actions undertaken were to create a project timeline, to identify key cross-functional personnel to work with, and to set in place a review and risk management process. The result was deliver the project in 2 months, and with the successful launch was much appreciated by the client, who has continued to work with the business subsequently. We said what was the competency, what was the objective, what did the business want to do, or what did the team want to do, or what your manager want to do, what was in the way, what was the obstacle, what were the actions, the top 3 actions, the one that if I didn't take these 3 actions, things wouldn't have moved forward. And then we did the result. What happened? I describe this as the core model. Competency, objective, obstacle, action, result, and for the interview, the relevance. So that's where in the interview stage you talk about how the result you got is relevant to the position. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that today, but should we come back and run a session on interviews, I will definitely go through this core model and how you can utilize it. We move on to your professional experience. We talk about the company, the dates that you were there, months and year, what your role was. If you find your role and the job title are very close, you can actually use their job title at the beginning, and then after / the job title your role was known by in the company. You put their role description first because it's their role. It's what they're familiar with. You're speaking their language. You give a brief overview of your role, what you did, your remit, what was the most important. You can talk about the size, scope, and scale of your role. Just to give the person a flavor, particularly if the company's not particularly well known, just to give the person a flavor of the types of things you're involved with. Your remit also then helps you to write your achievements. So brought on board as a software systems tester or as a code tester, for 4 or 5 major clients with a focus on reducing error rate from 60% to 50%. Then you can actually say, here's my achievement. I actually got the error rate down from 60% to 20%. And I did it by doing this and this. Then you can say what else you accomplished or you achieved. Wherever possible, make it quantifiable. Put it down in numbers. You'll repeat this process for any other jobs you've got underneath. If you're crossing over from a different career or different industry, think about, is there anything relevant from those positions that matches with what they're looking for in this new job? If you can't find anything relevant, then I would encourage you actually simply to list the job and just say, this is what I did. So company, date, and job title, and that's it. Rather than to write chapter and verse about a role that's not directly related to the position you're going for. If you've been working for a little while, again, you can summarize your earlier career. You don't necessarily have to head it up as early career. That's optional. I've just done that just to make it easier for you to see. And typically, earlier career covers everything you did from 10 years ago or more. You can put your professional qualifications down. If you're early in your career or you're making a transition, I would actually put your professional qualifications on page 1 so they can see them quickly and understand. This also relates to your education as well. If you presented at any conferences or events, you can put that information down here. Likewise, any publications or journals. If you've got any academic qualifications, you only want the highest one generally, and you can put that obviously down here on that second page. If you are someone who's gone and or has been or is studying a relevant degree, then by all means, yes, put your academic information on page 1 and draw out the relevant information. So doing a BSc in computer science, key subject areas include A, B, and C. Dissertation is on this topic. That makes it clear to the person what you're doing. Also tell them when you're due to finish, due to complete on X date, and I'm currently on track for a 2-1 or a first, so that you can let them know what caliber of candidate is potentially coming out of that degree. Okay, now that's the format. What we'll be doing in a moment is we're going to actually have a look at some CVs people have volunteered to share, and we'll work through those. Okay, so let me get the right ones up on the screen first. And also, I'll just double check, make sure our volunteers are actually here on the chat, on the webinar, I should say. So if you make yourselves known in the chat as well. So I've got a CV that came from Marina. So if you're on, then please let us know. That's really helpful.
Yeah, I can see Marina has been in the chat. So
yeah. I believe we also had them from Caroline.
Yeah, we got Caroline in the chat as well. So fingers crossed, and she hears this.
It's a little bit like calling the old school register here. Caroline, Flavia, I think was also here, and Justina.
I haven't seen anything from either of those yet, but it may just be, we'll give it a few moments for this to catch up.
Okay.
Oh, Caroline's here, so that's all good.
Caroline's here. And so it's just Flavia we're missing. Is that right?
Yeah, Flavia. I think it was the Flavia. What was the other name that you said at the end?
Justina and Marina.
Oh, okay, yeah, Marina, we definitely got. I've seen her in the chat. She's not confirmed just yet, but I'm pretty sure she is there. And then I haven't seen anything from Flavia or Justina at the moment. So maybe if we keep up with the other two, and then if I'll just give them a bit of a prompt in the background for you.
Okay, no problem. So okay, so Marina, your moment has come. Thank you very much for volunteering. Hope you've got your pen and pad handy so that we can go through this. And I am going to endeavour to make this a bit larger for everybody to see as well. Sorry, my system's decided to be a bit slow on the response rates here.
I'll just confirm Justina's here.
Okay,
Network problems, but she is here, so all good. And this is Flavia, but I'll do a little bit of background work to see if we can get her on. Okay.
Thank you. So, Marina, you've got your name obviously at the top. You may want to put all your contact details on one line. Also, no need for the icons. They look nice. If you're giving this to somebody in person, that's one thing. But if you're simply sharing this via an ATS, an applicant tracking system, or emailing it to someone, you don't necessarily need those. You can also customize your LinkedIn URL. So you'll need to go to your profile, then edit your profile, then edit URL, and actually take off the numbers at the end of your profile. If for any reason somebody else has got the same name as you and you can't quite use that, pop your middle initial in there if you have one, or swap your first name and your last name around so that you can own the profile. It also gives you just that little bit more space. Moving down, you've got your professional summary. You don't need to label it as a professional summary. You can take that off. If this is a template, which I suspect it might be, then I would just make sure you're using a Word document and just put this information in. You can make it look nicer, much more easily. Also, you have direct control, whereas templates, unless you particularly know your way around the back of the template, tend to have to follow their instructions. As I said earlier on, you can begin with a description, a job title for the position you're going for, and use the format that I've indicated. Moving down, you can add in your core competencies, and you can add in the key skills and achievement sections. At the moment, you've got a trainee cloud engineer. So again, some more background about the company, what they do, what you're responsible for, so that I get a sense of the size, scope, and scale of job that you're involved in. Your key achievements, I know you've only been there since January, so it may be early days, but still, if there's something you've accomplished, let's start to see it. Let's start to have you share it. I can see from your previous roles that this is a career change. So again, I would encourage you to start to talk about what relevant elements you have from your previous roles. Remember, the reader is trying to make sense of this pathway. Give them a jumping off point. Show them how, my role during this role, I also got more exposure to X or Y, which led me to make this transition. Or this role gave me an opportunity to understand from a user side certain elements, hence moving across. If it's something completely different, then that's fine. If it's just you were doing a particular role or job, it's what you needed to do to keep mind, body and soul together, that's okay. But if at all possible, provide some indication, some narrative to help the reader work out why you've made the change you've made. Again, that message really runs right through the earlier roles as well. Start to indicate or highlight where you've gained relevant experience and also what your achievements have been. Underneath that, you've got your education. I would make sure that some of these things are actually visible on page 1. So your AWS certification, make sure it's there as part of your core competencies. So AWS certified cloud practitioner, JavaScript, MOOC, etc. Make sure they're all in that set of core competencies at the top, or that you have a separate section specifically for these, again marked up as certification. Given the industry is continually upgrading and changing certification, it makes sense for you to have those the certification information up on page 1. You'll make a judgment call based on the jobs that you see and the priority they place on these certifications. In terms of your university education, again, what the degree was and what you got. If you want to talk about dissertation as well, you can. You've got your Google IT support certification. That again goes alongside the other certifications at the top. Unless you're going for a technical support role in the future, you may want to weigh up whether you want to have this technical support information on here or not. Also, you may have to look at how quickly does this become dated. So it may be relevant this week, this month, this year, but next year it may be superseded by upgrades, system developments, etc. So just double check if you need it and how useful it might be. I hope that's been helpful. Okay, thank you once again for volunteering, Marina. Jess, I just want to double check. Do you say Caroline's here as well?
Yes, we've got Caroline and Justina. It's just Flavia we've not had a response from. So
brilliant. Now I am going to see if this time around I can make this a bit larger for everybody to see. Okay. Now, Caroline, again, you obviously heard what I've just said regarding Marina's. The first thing I would say for you is please choose a nicer font. Calabri, Tahoma, they're very easy to read on the screen. Secondly, again, you've used hyperlinks, or you've got, or indicates you may have hyperlinks in some areas but not others. Have your email, have your phone number, yes. If you're going to use your LinkedIn profile, put the URL in. Do not assume that the person will be able to access hyperlinks. Likewise, anything for GitHub and portfolio. Make those accessible. Your layout might be slightly different because you're going to use these other 2 links in terms of GitHub and portfolio, so they may sit underneath. Your profile, I would add in that profile using the format I described earlier on to help the reader actually establish what you have to offer. Likewise, make sure you've got the job title sitting above your profile. You've got your skills, which is great. This is for your master CV. You may well go and do further research in terms of looking at developer roles and see if there are other skills that are needed. Underneath that, you will again have your not skills, it'd be competencies. Then underneath that, you would have your key skills and achievements. You'll be picking from this list of competencies which ones you excel at which you're particularly good at and can give tangible examples of you being effective using them. Underneath that, you've got your professional experience. I encourage everybody to write professional experience because that's what you are. You're professionals, rather than simply describe it as experience or work experience. Work experience often has me think about students rather than adults in the world of work. Again, you've got your job title and company, the dates. I would cut the dates to just an abbreviated month, so NOV, and then the year 2022 to present. Tell me a little bit about the role and the company, what you're required to do, and then break down the bullet points into your achievement. What have you delivered? What difference has it made in taking part in these activities? If you are not able to identify any achievements, then take that information and use it as part of the description instead. Role included, doing this, this, and this. Okay. Then you've got your training with the La Fosse Academy. Again, say what that involved, what you accomplished while doing the training. Underneath that, you've got some projects that you worked on. So give me an indication of the context. So what was the problem this was set up to solve? How long it was for? And what difference did it make it once you completed it? You can also decide whether these projects were things that were done as part of you can let the reader know whether they were done as part of your La Fosse Academy process. If they were, make it clearer rather than have them stand alone. If they're separate things or they're part of something else, then put them in the right places, or give the reader again an indication of this was part of something else. This is where I did this. Then you've got your education and certifications at the end. Again, depending on the type of role you're going for, these may be the most relevant and important parts. So put those at the top. I have to stress though, it's specifically if these are industry certifications rather than training organization or training provider specific. So for example, if it was a Microsoft or Oracle certification or an AWS, I'd have that at the top. If it's a training program that's specific to a particular organization, then where you have them at the bottom is fine. Okay, I hope that feedback's been helpful. And by all means, please do, both you and Marina, reach out and let me know if you would like any further help. Happy to do that for you. Now, we are moving across to, I'm going to go to the final CV, which I think was for
Justina.
Justina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had nothing back from Flavia, so we'll pass you on afterwards.
we'll march on.
Thank you.
No problem. Just make sure I can get this to show what I need it to show. Okay. There we go. Justina. Again, you may want to pull your data together, your personal details, put them on the same line. And again, you may want to add your LinkedIn URL as well, subject to you having customized the information. Additionally, you've got the profile here. As I referenced earlier on, your particular profile starts with lots of subjective information. Instead, You're going to use the evidence that you've already got about what you've delivered, what you've produced, to produce a more impactful opening statement. You've got your skills. I would stress again that you go and double check, are these the skills that are needed for the role you want to pursue? Or specifically, are these the competencies looked for in the role you want to pursue? Gather those, order them, put them together. You can do it across the page rather than down the page because it saves you space. Again, if you're using a template, which this looks like it might well be, certainly if you're using tables and the like, take them all out. Just put it in plain format in a Word document, and that'll make life a lot easier for you and reduce the risk of the ATS system having a problem reading your CV. As I've said before, look at the key skills and achievements to go underneath your core competencies, so that by the end of page 1, the reader is going, great, Justina's got all the things I'm looking for. I want to carry on reading. I want to go into more depth and more detail. You put professional experience. You've got the company that you've worked for. I have put your job title on the next line underneath, so it's easier for the person to distinguish between where you worked and what you did. You've got the dates here from May 2017 to March 2021, which immediately says to me, well, what's happened since? I'm having a guess from what you provided that you probably did some form of study, and here it is. So I would pull your degree up to the top so that it's easy for the reader to actually see, this is what they've been doing. Also, you can highlight relevant information then in relation to the job. Having put that up at the top, it then makes more sense when I look at your work history afterwards. Again, tell me a little bit about the company, give me the context, the remit that you've been involved in, the size, scope and scale of what you've been doing. Particularly important given you're dealing with visa applications. I'm assuming that there's a high attention to detail. You're dealing in high volumes. You're in a high profile situation where if people's visa applications are not processed effectively, it can have very serious implications. So make it clear how important this role has been and the key part you've played in this organization. You've also developed certain areas of expertise in terms of biometrics, GDPR management, confidential handling of data. These are all become very useful and very valuable. I don't know if you had to become DBS cleared. If you did, check if your DBS is still valid. If it is, you may find that that's helpful for you in securing future employment, because some companies and some organizations need and want people who already have been the data disclosure barring service cleared. So if that's something that you have, don't be afraid to share it. Again, you've laid out your responsibilities. Tell us what difference it made, what results it produced. Then you've got your earlier role at the White Leaf Hotel. Again, give us an overview of what you've done, how you've done it, the impact it had. Remember, you're pulling out the key relevant bits of information for future roles. If you can't find any relevant information, it's okay to simply say, this is where I worked, this is the place, this is what I did, and this is the date I did this role from and to and from. Earlier roles, I would just shorten, just company, job title, and date. Okay. Also, you probably don't want to do these types of jobs again, so there's no need to draw attention to them. We've talked about your education, your degree. You've got the main details here. That's now going to go up into page 1. What you'll write here, again, under this section is University of Westminster, your degree, whether you're doing a BSc or a BA, and when you expect to complete your degree. Then underneath, you can just simply talk about your access to computing, and again, the dates. You don't need to mention your A-levels, you don't need to mention your GCSEs, you don't need to mention references available on request. Okay, thanks very much, and I hope that has been helpful. Oh, sorry, just on the point about your interests, Justina, you can talk about your interests, but if you're going to do so, put some detail or put some depth. The last thing you want is somebody to ask you about them in your interview, and you say, "Oh no, I've not done any charity work for ages. I don't do dancing, and I'm kind of shy." And I would say your interest, by the way, being outgoing is not an interest. It's a description of you as a character, as a person. Okay. So if you are going to have your interest section, be prepared to talk about it and give the reader a little bit more depth. Generally, I don't encourage people to put it on unless they are applying for their first job. You've got more than enough professional experience to explore already. Okay, I hope that has been helpful for you, Justina. Now, I'm very conscious of the time. We've got 2 or 3 minutes. I know it's not enough, perhaps not enough time, but if there are any burning questions that have been lurking in the chat, then by all means, please do fire them in, and in the remaining couple of minutes, we will try our best to cover those off.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amechi. I'll just wait for some people to come through with any final questions. That was really, really useful. I think the template is something not many people get provided, and that's where the headaches start, and then it's just it just keeps getting worse from that point onwards. What do I put? How do I put? And I think what I always used to find tricky is when I was in that transitional period of I literally didn't have much work experience. I'd only had my education. Like, how do I get that to come across in the right way? And it can be, I can see from some of the CVs we reviewed, it's a similar situation. Like, I've done this, but I'm actually now completely switching and now doing this. And how do I get that across in the right way? So we had a few questions come through. So a lot of thank you from all of the people we did the CV reviews for. Caroline said, can we not describe the job as bullet points instead of a short description?
You can, but just remember, you're only going to be writing 1 or 2 lines, not lots and lots anyway. If you've got the room, by all means use the bullet points, but I tend to encourage people to use the bullet points for the stuff that matters. Achievements, boom, did this, got this result. Because remember, the reader's scanning. They're just going to zoom down. Yeah, I'm not going to read the profile because they're always empty puffery pieces. All right, yeah, great. They've got these. Oh, hold on. Yep, they've got those. Great. Oh, hold on. I better stop. This bit is telling me not just they've got the things I'm looking for, but where they got them and what results they produced. And we're interested in results. Thanks. Now I'm going down. Oh, you want me to bullet point and read all about this company? And I've just read those bullet points. Do I have to read that and the achievement? Oh, anyway, I'll skip that. You've got control about where you want the eye to go. Use the bullet points to get the eyes to look there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. In terms of, so we've got Amir, as someone who's looking to apply for their first job, would I put my education on the first page?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
But the specific education, highest qualifications. If you've been at university, yes, you put your degree, you put what you studied, you put your dissertation, you put the key things you studied that are relevant for the job, not the kitchen sink, but the bits that are relevant for the job.
Yeah, because you
And
just did, how much detail should I go into? Should I mention A-level grades, specific percentages for individual units throughout my degree, etc.?
only if they really need them. The main point is, what did you get? First, 2-1. If you got first or a 2-1, you put it on. If you got 2-2 or below, don't. If you got a first in your dissertation or a 2-1 in your dissertation, but came out with a 2-2 overall, say you got a first in your dissertation or a 2-1 in your dissertation. If you're in the top percentile in your degree in a particular module, say you're in the top percentile for that particular area. The message you're saying is, I'm a high achiever in this particular area. I've got good knowledge or expertise in this area.
Perfect, thank you. Got someone says, I have volunteer experience that is relevant. Should I specify that it was a volunteer role or frame it as work experience?
Neither. Professional experience. That's what I said earlier on. Professional experience. It also then means, in terms of chronology, you can put paid employment or study and volunteer experience all neatly underneath each other. Because remember, there's some poor old human going, oh, hold on, what were they doing here? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'll put that to one side. As opposed to, oh, right, from here to here, they were doing this. Oh, yeah, there was a volunteer, no problem. But they told me what they were doing and the results they delivered.
Yeah.
Oh, and then afterwards, they did some study. Before that, they were studying. Oh, great. I understand that. Oh, and before that, they were working. Oh, I do not have to work out. I don't have to play Inspector Clouseau and determine what happened with your career. You just laid it out for me neatly under professional experience.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think so many people undervalue volunteer work, because if it is, as you say, relevant, then it's nice and simple, nice and easy, and you can see it. So no, it makes a lot of sense. Just had another further question come through from Trina. Is a profile compulsory? I like my CV on a page and haven't included it.
You like your CV on a page, great, but it's not about you. It's about the audience that you're sending it to. If you can get all the relevant information they want in a page, no problem. I have to be honest though, I've very rarely found people can. Not for themselves. They sit there and go, oh, I love it. It's one page. I like it. It's neat. They forget and they're not hiring themselves. Someone else is hiring. Are you giving them the relevant content? The other reason why I tend to encourage people to extend in the structure that I've given them is, actually, you can win on page 1. If you've got a profile that says, hey, I'm not going to, this isn't The Apprentice. I'm not going to just say I'm the whatever of whatever. I'm going to, in the first lines, I'm telling you the things I've got that you want. You're getting it before you even go to the second part of my CV. That's why that profile is there. It's to punch them right in the chops and say, hey, I'm your person. I'm the candidate you should be interviewing.
Yeah.
Having said all that, if it's working for you, if you're getting the results you want, then who am I to say, no, you need to change? I'm not arrogant. I recognize CVs are an art rather than a science. But no, you have the option now. So if you do find, oh, hey, actually, I'm not getting the interviews I want, here's something I can change in my control to see if it gets me a different result. As opposed to, no, I'll just keep firing out the one pager and hope it works.
Oh, love that. That's really good. Just an additional comment from Amir, who was asking about education and so on. Should it go first? Is it completely fine to have a key skills and achievements section with no achievements?
No. No. The whole point of the key skills and achievements is to say, this is what I've achieved. And if you're doing it from an academic perspective, pick an assignment. Pick a piece of work that you did for your degree. First year, second year, third year, fourth year even. Oh, we'll set this. The objective was to produce a piece of work on this. The obstacle to doing it was this. The actions I did to produce this assignment were these. The result was I got an A. My tutor said this was a well-researched piece of work that showed a real understanding of the subject area. And if it's happened to have been a piece of work relating to the job that you're applying for, then you would put it in.
Yeah, love it. That seems to be the question. So yeah, thank you so much, Amechi. This has been really, really great. I think this, seeing the templates, seeing like the mistakes and everything that people commonly make, it just makes people feel more comfortable about, you know what, actually, yeah, I can definitely revamp my CV. I don't have, like, it's obviously not working. And there's many other things that can be done to make it work better. And recruiters, they all look for the same thing. So okay, Amir's just saying, I definitely misunderstood it the first
Yeah,
one.
I see.
Clarifying. No worries, Amir.
You're all good, Amir. Thank you.
Cool. So, well, Amechi, it has been great. I did see earlier in the chat when you said about doing an interview session that did get a little bit, that got quite a few likes. So we'll definitely chat and see if we can get that arranged at some point. I know it's something we've already discussed and see that, but some people already said yes to it. I'm sure it will be just as engaged as this session has been. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much. It's been hugely helpful to the community.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate absolutely everybody both being patient with my minor technical issues and, more to the point, giving the extra time, to be here and to draw on this. Please give your feedback to Jess later on. We'd love to know what you found useful, what you're taking away, what you're going to be using. And if you haven't already connected with Jess and I via LinkedIn, then please do. My name is unique. I am the only Amechi Udo on LinkedIn. You can see how to spell my name in the chat. So by all means, reach out and get in touch. Thank you once again, Jess. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you, everyone.
No, thank you so much, everyone. Any further questions, send them across to me. Very short on time, but as I said at the beginning, log on to showcode.io. We've got all of the events on there. We've got our upcoming Athena Hackathon on the weekend of the 1st of July. We've got 2 meetups happening next month, actually. I should probably mention those first. One with Lewagon, a bootcamp provider, and also one with one of our employer partners, MDRX Tech, both of which are in London. So do keep an eye out for showcode.io for the events when they get loaded up and register your interest. And as I said, Athena Hack in July, and then we've got Showcode Live in September, week of the 25th of September. So look forward to seeing you at some of those events. And for now, we've got 2 weeks off, just so you know. We've had a bit of a reschedule of talks. So we've got 2 weeks off, and then we'll be back to back then. I'll be busy. We've got a lovely lady called Biba, who I've been connected with for many years, talking about women in leadership. And then the session after that will be from Ria, who's part of our Athena community, talking all things data. So look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time. But thank you once again. And Amechi, look forward to obviously chatting with you more in the future.
And you and I will just stay on briefly, and I just have a brief chat.
Yeah, sure, no worries. It'll probably click
We'll
us off.
kick everybody out.
I'll send you a separate link because it will click us both out very shortly. Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.